Good afternoon, everybody. Just gonna give it a minute or so to let a few more come through. But I hope you're all doing well today. I'm guessing you can all see and hear me, so yeah, I've got a wave there, that's cool. So yeah, so just give it a minute or so, and then we are gonna be joined by a guest. So we're gonna be doing a little interview today, and we'll start that once a few more of you have logged in. The session length today, guys, we're looking at probably somewhere around half an hour, but it's not set in stone, so we'll just play it by ear and see how we get on. But yeah, it'd be great to see as many of you hanging around as possible. All right, so hopefully some of you are enjoying this video in the sun today, getting yourself outside. And for anyone who didn't see the kind of preview video, so going to be talking today with Daniel Herman, who is the founder of Biosynergy, so a nutrition and supplement company, and they've just reached this month they reached a significant milestone of 23 years in business. So we're going to be talking about some of the changes over that period of time, and yeah, we're going to be talking about how Daniel started the company as well, a little bit of his background and his story as well. So I think we'll get cracking, guys. So just gonna get Dan linked into the session. Just bear with me a second. Right, just waiting for Daniel to join us. Let's just have another look there. Right, we're just waiting for Daniel to join us, so we'll just give it another minute or so. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well today. This will be should be available as a recording as well, so we'll pop it up on the story at the end of the session. Just bear with me a sec, guys. Sorry to keep you waiting. We should be on in a second. So you're going to get the chance to ask your own questions today as well. So if there's anything that you think you're going to want to ask, just pop it in at any point during the session, and we'll pick a bunch of questions at the end to ask Daniel. So anyone who's maybe interested in starting their own business, maybe you've got some specific questions you'd like to ask him about that. Making sure Daniel knows how to get on. Here we go. I see him there. Let's just get there. Right. So we're ready to go, guys. So I'm gonna into the chat now.
Hello.
There he is. How you doing, Daniel? Good to see you.
Oh, much better to see you. Obviously, a technical hitch. I'm a bit of a virgin to this going live thing.
That's fine, mate. No problem. So first of all, congratulations on your 23 years this month.
Yeah.
Great achievement.
Thank you.
Well done.
I look young, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. How have you been getting on in the whole lockdown situation? Is your work changed much or?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I mean, it's great. My kids have been coming to the office.
Oh, okay.
Turned the office into a school and a dog walking facility. So it's been great for them because it means they're not being stuck at home.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, nice change of scenery for them as well.
Great.
Yeah.
The school teacher, so she's having to go to school and do Zoom stuff when she's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. And what about you?
Yeah, so we're sort of, we don't really have to change too much because we're pretty kind of remote as it is. Like we do a lot of the stuff we're doing is online, it's webinar based, so we haven't really had to change too much, to be honest with you, with that respect. But yeah, it's obviously it's completely different being like in your own sort of space without your colleagues and stuff like that. So looking forward to getting back into it. But
yeah. As to maintain your fitness during lockdown? Or?
Yeah, I've been bang on it, to be fair. I've been tracking my nutrition and training. I mean, I was training well before, but I've really sort of made an effort to maintain that. What about yourself?
Unfortunately, I've got a back issue, so that's affecting me. So it's just been walking the dog and press ups, and that's about it. So trying not to eat too many pizzas. And
that's it, isn't it? But yeah, the steps make a big difference, though, don't they, with the dog walk? Yeah, it makes a massive difference. That.
So it's all good.
Excellent.
And after the children keeps you fit.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Funnily enough, I did the nutrition course with you guys. That's been quite handy.
Oh, nice. Have you finished it now? Or?
Yeah. I thought that was a really good course.
Good.
Last time I qualified was probably about 20 years ago. And obviously, although fundamentally a lot hasn't changed, a lot has changed as well, particularly our styles. So it was really good to do a refresher and get a new education. And also my qualified with you guys as a level 3.
Oh, okay.
So we're like I think my kids are now wanting to probably do it as well.
Oh, really? Nice. That's good. When did you do the level 3?
So she qualified at the beginning of this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just before it all went. But she wanted it. I mean, she just loves fitness, and she felt that she wanted to have the knowledge to take her training to the next level because she does a lot of ultra marathons and things like that.
Perfect.
You know, you can go in the gym and throw weights around and so on.
Yeah.
Educational basis to what you're doing, you can end up spending a lot of time and not achieving very much.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's cool. Brilliant. Good to hear. So we just spoke about 23 years in business. Yeah. If we hit the rewind button a little bit, tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to start Biosynergy in the first place.
There was a couple of things. I was always the fat kid at school who avoided sport. So if there's cross-country running on, find me hiding behind the hedge or getting a bus or any way possible not to get involved in that.
Yeah.
Fast forward a few years at university, and I lived with a bunch of very tough, very fit rugby league boys.
Okay.
Were not impressed with my physical prowess or lack of it. So I was kind of motivated by them, and obviously I grew up in the generation of Rocky, and you know, training like that, you know, throwing big weights around. So it so happened I was a poor student. There was a local gym which was very, very spit and sawdust, which is now full again, and all the guys in there were big. They were probably taking non-supplement supplements.
Yeah.
Anybody who wore a t-shirt, I think pretty much everybody was half naked all the time. So it was a proper sweat and sawdust gym. Yeah. So my goal was to do bench press 50 kilos.
Okay.
And suffice to say, I was able to do that eventually.
You got there.
Very proud of myself.
Well done.
8.5 stone at the time. So I'm now
pretty good then.
So, and it's not all pizza, I don't think. So I ended up, you know, getting the bug, and there weren't protein powders around at the time. So I was kind of doing raw eggs, Horlicks, bananas,
Yeah.
and blending that up, and that was my kind of protein shake. And then I was trying to eat quite well.
Yeah.
And carried on, you know, after university, and like literally the year that I finished, Gladiators came on TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be a contender. Obviously, Gladiator. And so happens, small like side story. Now, Jen and Wayne, who were on Gladiators as Gladiators, are now ambassadors for the brand. So it kind of full circle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I started training a lot harder. My thoughts on pre-workouts are.
What I was going to say, what we'll do with the questions is we'll bank them until the end, and then
Okay.
I'll pick them out, and just to keep us like on flow with what we're doing. But Dan, we'll come back to that one, mate. Don't worry. So thanks for asking the question. Go on, Karen. What you saying?
Okay.
So you're saying about the Gladiators?
Yeah. So I was training very hard.
Yeah.
Twice a day, probably five days a week.
Yeah.
And I was eating very well. But I didn't seem that I was making the progress I anticipated. So somebody recommended I take some supplements, which I did. And it was a well-known brand that had muscle in its name.
Yeah, I think I know what one.
It didn't seem to be working for me, despite the level of training. And it so happened the guy that founded that company trained in the same very uplet market gym called the Hendon Youth Centre. Yeah. Behind Tesco. And in between a bench press set, and he was doing a lat pull down. And apologies if anybody is sensitive to swearing. I said to him, I've been using your product and it doesn't seem to be working. And he said, fuck off, I'm doing a lat pull down. So my head went, you, I'm starting a sports nutrition company. So I left my job, qualified as a PT with YMCA at the time. Yeah. Did a nutrition course with the Forum of Pharmaceutical Professionals. And then what I wanted to do, what was very evident at the time, the big brands that were around, Quinlab, Metrex, EA, Weeder, many of which sadly have disappeared now, were very bodybuilding focused. Fine. But I felt that actually where the opportunity was when with new gyms opening up, David Lloyd, Fitness First and so on, the opportunity would be with people who were like myself, just looking to improve their fitness and get the most out of every training session. Sure, yeah. Possibly compete in something at an amateur level, and also elite athletes who are looking for nutritional support. And what was happening at the time, there was a lot of positive drug tests associated with sports nutrition. Yeah. What we wanted to do was create the first clean, in inverted commas, sports nutrition brand, and be very science and efficacy based. So rather than putting stuff in the tub and because it sounded cool, actually have evidence to back that up. So in the early days, I spent a lot of time talking to people like Professor Ron Morn, Professor Drew, all the lights in sports nutrition, to pick their brains. And I did it old school, by fax, by phone, and going to live. There wasn't any internet. Probably hard for anybody watching to understand. But when we launched, we had a website in 1998, which was like a after we launched. That was and so it was dial-up, and you couldn't
dial-up. Sorry, you just cut out a second that as well.
So nobody probably even remembers. So we came up with probably the most peer-reviewed supplement at the time, and still is, was creatine. Yeah. Which, for anybody who doesn't know, is a natural substance you find in your body, and it helps improve recovery and performance and delay muscle fatigue and reduces lactic acid buildup. And there was another ingredient called chitosan, which is a natural fiber which helps reduce the amount of saturated fats you store from your diet. Okay. So most people want to increase their performance and reduce body. Was their way of combining these two products. So basically, for all the toing and throwing the research, all the research said at the time was you need to do a 5-day loading dose on creatine to increase your creatine stores. Yeah, and then so all the creatine back then was in powder format, which two things about that. One, it's not necessarily very convenient. Secondly, it's not very accurate. So if you're trying to take a dosage, it's very easy to over or underdose. Yeah. And also, if you were a drug tested athlete and your concern was about doping, somebody potentially could come along and put something into your powder and you wouldn't know about it because the drug test. Yeah. So we found a company that was prepared to do some trials for us. And what we did a 2-phase pack. So phase 1 was pure creatine. And phase 2 was at 80% creatine and 20% chitosan. And then at the time, I was very lucky. A guy I knew worked in the army, and his job was improving performance in recruits.
Okay.
So he agreed to do a test with the recruit, double-blind test.
Yeah.
And to cut long story short, the recruits that took the supplement improved better than the ones that didn't. So with that, kind of, I felt very confident, and we got the stuff made. And I was working for my parents' loft, and what I was doing during the day was kind of faxing and calling people to try and get appointments, and then I'd pack product up in my Escort 1.4L and drive with a Yellow Pages and an A to Z, which again probably nobody's ever heard of, and just knocking doors.
Wow.
And in the afternoon, what I would do, if people had placed an order on the website, you had to then ring them back to get their credit card details and process annually. I then would take them to the local post office and then do it all again. So one day I got a call, and again, because I was always the kid that never did sport, I didn't know much about sport or football or anything like that.
Okay.
So I got a call from a guy called Gary in Islington, or Highbury, and he said, "Hi, I'm calling up from a guy called Gary. I'm calling from Highbury. I'm interested in this creatine stuff that you're selling. I saw an advert in Men's Health, and the advert said, be yourself, be your best, be biosynergy. If you want to increase lean muscle and performance, cool." I think we were the first advertiser in Men's Health, which again goes back, quite a way.
Wow. And
this guy, I said, "Well, sure, where are you?" He goes, "Highbury." I said, "Yes, Highbury." Where? He goes, Highbury. And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I need a bit more specific." And he goes, "At the stadium." I was like, "Okay."
Oh, right.
Stadium. And he goes, "Arsenal." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Where is that?" So I've got a Yellow Pages at my AZ, and eventually I found out where it was, and I went up to see him the following day. And I've got the shirt behind me from, I think, the 99.
Oh, right. I remember that shirt. Yeah.
When they won the treble or the double. And as a thank you, I got given that shirt. But to cut a long story short, Gary then put an order in for 20 creatine plus, which I had in my Escort 1.4L. And I was over the moon of such a massive sale. And he said, "Go upstairs and Jan will give," or I think it was Jan, "will give you a check." And I was like, paid. Boom. This is just fantastic. And then about a week later, there was a newspaper called the Sunday Sport. And there was an article on the back cover, which obviously was the front cover if you're a sports reader, saying Arsenal Gunners pop growth pills pre-season. And a picture of Ian Wright and a tiny weeny picture of our product.
Right, okay.
Phone went mad.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so I then spent the next however many months driving around football clubs, rugby clubs, everything. Because at the time, a lot of the pro sport clubs were owned by the same people. So somebody who owned the basketball franchise owned the ice hockey one, who owned the cricket, and so on. So probably by the end of 99 or beginning of 2000, we were official suppliers to the whole of Premier League, Rugby Premiership, Rugby Super League, Ice Hockey Super League, British Basketball League, all of county cricket.
Wow.
British and Irish Lions, both codes.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it back then was that they were buying the product. So unlike today, where they, generally, most sports teams are very reluctant to buy anything. They actually saw the value in it back then. And then the pinnacle of that was that through the SPL, which is Scottish Premiership, the head of nutrition there became the head of nutrition for the Commonwealth Games in 2002, and we ended up becoming the official nutrition partner. And we developed a isotonic drink, which was the first isotonic drink with a sports cap, with no artificial ingredients. So this is like 18 years ago now, which is hard to believe. And on the back of that, we launched into Tesco.
Oh, wow, cool.
And we were also supplying a lot of health clubs, like David Lloyd, Fitness First back in the day when they had DVD rentals.
All right,
in the clubs. And really, over the last 20 odd years now, what I've seen is obviously a dramatic increase in the amount of interest in the category. But what I haven't seen, to be honest, is a huge amount of innovation.
No.
But still look at it, the things that most people are still interested in are protein, amino acids, pre-workouts. That and the things like protein RTDs and bars we were doing 20 years ago. And a lot of them now are probably worse than they were 20 years ago in terms of the what's going into them.
Yeah. Well, mate, that's an incredible story. I love that. It's the only bit I didn't quite like was the Arsenal bit. I'm a Spurs fan, so
funny enough, I went up to see them pre-season. I think it must have been again 99.
Tottenham,
and the doctor then was a guy called Dr. Mark Curtin. Okay. And I went to see them at I think it was in Essex, was the training ground.
Chigwell, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I got to meet all the players, and it was pre-season, so they were all sitting there with beers and cigarettes.
Oh, really?
That's how much things have changed.
You're shattering my dreams, mate. These are my heroes you're talking about.
So that was weird. So
wow.
The idea, I remember the idea of SAQ training or whatever was like running tires, which just wouldn't do that.
Yeah, old school. That's funny. Yeah. So over the last 23 years, you said you haven't seen much innovation in terms of products. Have you seen much change in the trends of nutrition in general?
I think what's happened is the fit have got fitter.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, let's say yourself, you probably go to the gym, but then you might also be competing in a triathlon or a marathon or something like that. So I think the people that were always fit are getting fitter and doing more disciplines.
Yeah.
I also think that the access to those kind of things has got much greater, but then the cost of it has as well. So,
sure.
And I think the other thing is, we had another business back in the 90s which failed, which was called Online Fitness. And what it was is we launched it, I think, in 98 or 99. So you rang up an 0898 number, which was a premium rate number, and you left your details about what you wanted to achieve in your fitness.
Right.
I had a PT and a sports scientist writing out your program, which we then posted to you.
Right. Okay.
So it wasn't very scalable, but one of the other big problems was that trying to find a PT was almost impossible.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think, when I spoke to Jason, I think there's 20,000 plus on your register.
Yeah, we put a lot of people through,
So that's completely changed the whole professionalization of the fitness industry, I'd say.
Yeah.
But again, the other big change for me, I guess, has been the availability of sports nutrition and the fact that it has gone a bit more mainstream now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, very competitive market now, isn't it? But
it's like my dad would say, there's no point, being the only game in town. If you've got 100% of a market that's very small, you're better off having 1% of a very large market.
Exactly.
And I think the other thing is, for me, a bit like, your own business, if you've got other people in the market, you can benchmark against them.
Yeah.
So, for example, why is our protein better than another protein? I can say, well, here's brands X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
They've got fillers, they've got artificial colours, they've got artificial flavours.
Yeah.
They're using blender proteins, they've got soya in there, whereas ours is free from all of that, and it's a whey isolate. So you can justify or explain why you're different, whereas if there's nobody else to do that against, it's very difficult.
Yeah, no, for sure. So what would you say if you were trying to explain to someone like what the role of supplements were in relation to performance and exercise? Like where do you see it?
I think that's a really good question. I mean, my pitch, so we've got over 300 brand ambassadors, and some of them range from like mums that lift to Olympic gold medalists and Paralympians and pro, international footballers.
Yeah.
And all of them have to buy the product. And often we get approached all the time about people wanting to become ambassadors. As soon as we say you have to buy the product, we do lose a few.
Yeah.
But my justification is this: if you've got your training right, and your diet is on point, the only variable is your supplementation.
Yes.
So I think it's about, it's a building block. So if your diet's awful and you're not training, don't buy any supplements. Unless
sure.
it's something for health, like an omega or a multivitamin, which is for well-being. If you look at a performance-based product, really, it's not necessary.
No.
To be honest. And then I remember in the old days, people used to ring up when we just had creatine. And the first question I'd say is, how often are you training? And if the people said less than 3 times a week, I said, save your money. Because what I want is repeat customers. And if you overpromise something and it doesn't deliver, all you're going to do is upset people. So I'd much rather lose a sale
sure.
and get a customer, if that makes sense.
No, I get completely what you're saying there. So
I think it's also about looking at your training. So it might be, you know, personally, I use the protein every day. I use the omegas every day. I use the vitamin every day. BCAAs when I'm training. And then I dip in and out the creatine. But it really depends on what your goal is. And, you know, we work, like I said, you know, if you're looking at pro sport, they might have a different strategy pre-season as opposed to during season.
Sure,
That really surprised me over the last 20 odd years is how serious amateurs and pro sports or athletic people are very, very focused about body fat and body weight, because it's all about power to weight ratios. And it's something that as a non-athlete, you just don't think that would even be a consideration, because you think they're training so hard and eating so well, why they bother about the body fat. James Cracknell, obviously, as some of you may know, you know, won a few goals in the Olympics, and his thing was always about chopping the wood, and said, look, if you're a big guy particularly, and you're doing a weight-bearing sport, or you're on a bike, if you've got the best bike in the world made of carbon graphite and it weighs 1 kilo, and you've got all the best kit and blah blah, all it is about getting your power to weight ratio, and the only controllable is your body weight. So it's about dropping the body fat as low as possible whilst maintaining health and increasing your power to weight ratio.
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense. So if some of our viewers were kind of, their general like nutrition was on point, they're training frequently, they feel like they want to get involved with some supplements, what kind of thought process should they go through in terms of selecting the right product?
Well, I mean, lots of great macro. We've got on our website a couple of tools. We've got a macro calculator, so that can be helpful. There's some great macro calculators out there. So if, for example, you know, you go through a program with your client and you find out they're protein deficient, or they're just not getting protein, whether it's you know, dietary, time or whatever, then obviously adding protein in is good. There's also on our site, you can put in what your goals are, and it will tell you roughly, well, it will tell you exactly what product you're using based on what those goals are. So we're looking at, you know, endurance. So my colleague, she's done several Ironmen, the Marathon des Sables, and so on. She's got completely different needs to somebody like myself. So she's doing 200-300 miles a week on a bike. I probably do a year. And again, you know, there's a lot of things about, you know, I've got a lot of issues with certain products like energy gels. I actually hate them.
Right, okay. Why is that?
Everybody I've spoken to in the medical community says it's one of the #1 causes of leaky gut syndrome, because of the acidity from taking a high sugar product.
That makes sense.
Good quality isotonic drink and fluid rather than a high concentration of sugar, which may give you an initial hit, but ultimately it may, you all know what's the name when she ran the marathon? I think she had to stop because she had so much.
They're renowned for giving you the sort of irritable symptoms, aren't they, in your gut? So
So I think a lot of it is, you know, it's trying to separate trend from fact. You know, like pre-workout, somebody asked a question earlier. No, they're fantastic. They're giving you a boost before training, and if you need that, then it's a great product. But if you're sufficiently energized and motivated, don't bother. You know, if you're only training for an hour, hour and a half, you don't need an isotonic drink.
No, exactly.
You might like one, and that's a different issue, but you don't actually need it. I think certainly for me, you know, a good quality multivitamin, fish oils, protein should really be the bedrock. Because most of us particularly if you do track your diet, don't get enough protein in.
Yeah.
And even if you do, a good quality protein powder can offer you something that's convenient and also cost effective. So, particularly if you don't want to queue up at Tesco for 4 hours for a chicken breast at the moment.
Yeah.
No, chicken would be like £8.
Yeah.
It's giving you 20 grams of protein.
Yeah.
And you've got to prep and so on to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Where good quality protein powder like Way Better is giving you 23 grams of protein, zero fat, 0 carbs.
Yeah.
Doesn't require any prep time, and it works out at, say, 80p a drink.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Convenience.
When you say quality, like in terms of protein and things like that, what do you mean by quality?
Well, for me, quality is it's about looking at the ingredient list. So forget all the BS on the front of pack and the market goes around any brand, whether it's ours or somebody else's.
Yeah.
What you're looking at is the nutritional table.
Yeah.
And you want to be looking at the per 100 grams, because lots of different brands use different size servings. So you might get, say, front of pack, a big flash, 50 grams of protein per serving. You turn it round and a serving size is 100 grams.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're getting 50 grams of protein, 100 grams, which is terrific.
Yeah, yeah.
But the other 50 grams is probably sugars and fats.
Yeah.
Which you don't want protein powder. Again, obviously, if you're a dairy, if you haven't got any dairy allergies, then ideally, if you can afford it, what you want to do is buy a whey isolate.
Yeah.
Because that's got the lowest trace fat, trace carbs. It's got the best amino acid profile, the best bioavailability, and at most protein per 100 grams.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, if you can't, if that's not achievable, then you go for a whey concentrate. But what you want to do is avoid soya, because A, it's cheap, B, it's not a very good protein source, and C, what most people don't know is that actually it's more people are allergic to soya than to milk.
Interesting.
I think also when you're looking at a vegan protein, particularly if you are an amateur or pro athlete, you want to avoid hemp in.
Okay. Hemp, is that, yeah?
Hemp, yeah.
Hemp, yeah.
And the reason for that being, although it's an okay source of protein, if you're on a plant-based diet, it has got traces of THC, which could lead to a positive drug test.
Yeah.
And again, probably avoid one with soya in as well, for the reasons of potentially having an allergy.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, with the BCAA, and I think that applies to everything. So I think you've got to be very mindful of what's on the back of pack.
Yeah.
And also, the other thing is to look at, what's the company about? Is the company about, pilot high, sell it cheap? Or, what's the ethos? Who are the people that are associated with the brand?
Yeah.
Personally, I started the business. I'm still involved in the business. I've never sold out. So it's very, very much, the customer to me always comes first. And I never entered this business to make money. I entered this business out of the frustration of what was available to me as a consumer. Yeah. Whereas a lot of people, I suppose the big difference now is because the category has grown.
Yeah.
There's people who are coming into it with big marketing budgets.
Sure. Yeah.
Just to make money, which isn't I've got no problem with that. But often the process of doing that, they're not focused on the quality of the product that they're producing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think examples, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention, but there's another brand that's got initials BP that was recently fined £100,000 for overstating its protein content by 20%.
Oh, wow.
There's another one, and that's, if you look up online, there's been numerous examples of where that's happened.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
Paper over that by paying £1 million to a high-end professional athlete to endorse the product.
Yeah.
And the product may never have been used by that customer.
Got you. Right, interesting.
I think authenticity. And I'd like to think, I don't know if any of our ambassadors are watching or not, but all of them, if you went to their house, you could see a receipt for the goods they've bought, and you'd see our product in their cupboard.
Yeah.
There might have other stuff as well, and I can't, prevent that, nor would I want to prevent that happening.
Yeah.
But I just know that generally buying and using the products,
yeah,
they're not just taking a check or freebie, say that they do.
Yeah. So you mentioned ambassadors. I noticed that when I was looking on the website before, you've got all sorts of, you've got athletes there, some of them high level, you've got personal trainers. If anyone watching wanted to become an ambassador, how would they go about doing that? What does it involve?
Just drop us a line at Make It Happen at myosynergy.co.uk. And what we're looking for, our priority is people who can inspire other people. So we don't care, you know, how big you're following on social media, or it's about, are you passionate about inspiring other people to change their lives? And then the greatest stories, you know, we've got a lady called Jo Barrett who originally did our 12-week transformation program back in 2005.
Yeah.
And she's undoubtedly, she's lost a lot of weight. But the interesting thing is she was very miserable in her job. As a result of going on our 12-week program, not only did she leave her job and now is a very successful personal trainer, but she's also an international competitor in bodybuilding.
Awesome.
So to me, seeing that journey that she's undergone and the way that she can inspire other people with a similar journey is very, very important to me and to the brand.
Brilliant. Oh, that's great. And so Danny, you've been 23 years in the business in a competitive market. You started all of this stuff from scratch. For our prospective current graduate students who are looking to kick their own business off, what would be some of the top tips you would give them, do you think? I
think you've got to have passion. I think that's it. You know, whatever business you're going into, whether it's nutrition, personal training, opening a corner shop, whatever it is, if you're not passionate about what you do, then you'll never succeed, because there's going to be tough times, and the passion is what sees you through that. So, I mean, a lot of people at the moment, particularly in this industry, will be having a really, really tough time, and you know, I really empathise with that, and you know, I hope, you know, the light's at the end of the tunnel now, hopefully in July. But you'll find that the people that are passionate have found ways of making it happen over the last couple of months, whether that's Zoom calls, whatever it may be. And I think that is, and yes, they may be struggling now, but they'll be the people that will succeed post-lockdown because they stuck with it and they stayed focused. I think if you're going to employ people, you want people that are going to inspire you. And if you're better off, you know, surrounding yourself by people that are better than you. So it's always better to be the stupidest person in the room and be surrounded by geniuses that are helping you than to be the cleverest person, in my opinion, which is a bit different to what other people may say.
No, I get what you're saying. I
think the other thing is to understand that, you know, it's on the website, as a brand, and you are a brand, whether you're an individual PT or a product, no brand is an island. And I think you've got to take that into account about your community. So, for example, from day one, all our products have been made in the UK. All our packaging is recyclable and upcyclable. We work with the CO2 neutral logistics company, and so on and so forth. So I think you've got to be mindful of what not only what your product is, whether it's a product or a service, but how you're doing the service and that product. And I think the other thing is, you know, although when I started I was 21 and I wanted to be a millionaire, you know, it was Del Boy. I think if that's your motivation purely, then it will never happen. And I think that you know, lots of people say this, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Sometimes you can get lucky, but again, this is where you know, being passionate about what you do is absolutely essential. If you are only doing it for the money or the glory or whatever it may be, then you're probably not going to succeed.
I think if you're passionate as well, you're going to enjoy the journey as well. It's not all about like the long term, the end point. It's actually enjoying that process of going from A to B. So, and if you haven't got that passion, that's not going to happen, is it? So,
and if you're passionate, hopefully the people that will be attracted to you or brand will also be passionate, and they'll become the people that will be supporting you throughout 23 years or longer.
Exactly. So just to let you know, guys, if you wanted to ask any questions, last chance to do that now. And I've got a couple that I've noted down as we've gone through. One of the things I wanted to ask you about was the name Biosynergy.
Yeah.
So talk to us a bit more about that.
Okay, so I was going, well, as I said, back in the late 90s, most of the names were very kind of meaningless. So they didn't describe or tell you anything about the brand.
Yeah.
And also they were very kind of bodybuilding. Again, I haven't got an issue with bodybuilding, but I didn't want to be just for bodybuilders. So I was actually working for my sister's room at this stage, in the brainstorming stage of starting the business, because she was at university, so I was able to use her room as my office.
Yeah.
I made a list of names. I ended up with a short list which had 2 names on it, and one was Chameleon.
Yeah.
It was like that because I always remember like looking at like Polo and Lacoste and thinking, oh, it's cool to have a little creature.
Yeah. Yeah.
The catchphrase was going to be "Chameleon, make the change," which I thought was very
nice. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a bit limiting potentially, and I studied bizarrely Latin at school.
Oh, okay.
I'm that old. That's the only language they spoke back then. Bio means life, and synergy means working with. And I felt, actually, on reflection, that was a better name, because the idea is that products are working with you to achieve the goal. And it could be it's getting out of bed in the morning, or it could be it's getting a podium at an event. It doesn't. The idea is that we would have the right supplement for you to use for your goal at the right time.
Yeah. And
as your goals changed, you could travel with the brand, if necessary, to support those new goals. So Biosynergy was, and it was working with. So our tag, before it was a tag, I guess, was working with life. And then in 2006, Seb Coe actually became a shareholder, and he thought working with life was a bit old hat, so we changed it to make it happen.
Nice. Oh, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. So, what would you say your biggest achievement has been within the business? I know it's a tough question to kind of come up with something straight away, or just some of the biggest achievements that you've had, do you think?
I mean, I think some of them are having customers like, I don't know if they're watching, Francis Lawrence, and numerous others who've been with me since Markmere for 23 years. I think having had customers for that long is really what...
Yeah, that's amazing, yeah.
I think probably Commonwealth Games 2002 springs to mind, definitely, because I was there at the opening ceremony. I got to meet the Queen and David Beckham, and seeing the athletes with the products was amazing.
Wow. I
think probably going with my dad, we were supplying the England cricket team for the Ashes when they won in 2000 and something. I'd never ever been to a sporting event with my dad.
Yeah.
And it was only because of the business and supplying the ECB at the time that I got to go. So that's
awesome.
And then probably my first major retail listing, which again, 23 years on, we're still with them.
Yeah.
Was Selfridges. And I remember going in there, and what I used to do with Selfridges, I used to actually deliver the orders myself.
Right. Okay.
Things were a bit different then. You can't do that now. But yeah, probably that.
Nice. I'm glad you didn't mention Arsenal in that as well. So all good.
Actually, the other thing would probably be Mark, the swimmer, who was my first ambassador, and he broke a number of world records whilst using our products, and he's still a customer today.
Amazing.
I think his world records are probably more around his golf handicap than swimming these days.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, loads of world champions and gold medals in there. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Last thing then, I think last question before we wrap up. So obviously we've gone through this kind of lockdown period. There's been some positives that seem to have come out of it in terms of people becoming a bit more, I guess, aware of their health and using that outside time, going out, walking, running, maybe things that people weren't actually doing as much of before. Do you think there'll be like an afterglow, a positive kind of afterglow effect from this that will go on for a long time, or will it be a short-lived thing, do you think?
I think Well, I think there's a couple of things. I think everybody's very worried about, you know, how gyms are going to reopen and so on. And I think a lot of gym owners and PT studios are like, are the customers going to come back? And I think not only will the people that were already members or taking PT come back, I think more will.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing that's come clear from what I've read is that being healthier generally would have reduced your risk of catching the disease.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think people probably have spent less time eating takeaways and more time eating fresh food and preparing, having queued up for 6 hours to buy it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that people are going to realise the difference. Sorry about that. That people who are already fit are gagging to get back to fitness and the gym and whatever that may be for them, and the same with sports people. But people who perhaps weren't into fitness, there's been such a strong message from the media, from the government, and from, you know, fitness businesses about it. And as you said, people are doing online training, they're walking their dog, they're going for runs. I think they've probably sold more bicycles in the last 3 months than they've sold the whole of the. And that's going to continue, and people are going to go, you know what, I prefer not being out of breath. I prefer having a bit more. How can I continue this? And some of them will do it in the way they have been, walking the dog, blah, blah, blah. But others will go, you know what, I want to peak, or I want to go to the gym, so I want to take it to the next level. So there's actually going to be, assuming financially that, you know, the country is okay, I think there's going to be a boom in the fitness industry, but it'll be different. I think a lot of it will be the benefit of PTs and boutique studios, where they're more able to offer a specific service and a tailored, which, rather than just a generic service.
Cool. I'm with you on that. I think there'll be a positive kind of ongoing trend that we'll see now. Like you said, a lot of people are more conscious now. I think obesity was one of the main links to having complications as well with the issue. We're going to do one more question because I've seen it pop up. So this is from Matt, who was asking about if you were starting from scratch. We kind of saw earlier how you did start, so I'm just going to put a slightly different spin on that question for Matt. If you were to do anything different, would you change anything? So if you were to redo it, from the beginning, is there anything you would change, or would you be pretty happy with the journey you went through?
Look, I've loved the journey I've been on, and I get up every day and I'm excited, and if it's a weekend I'm upset because I can't come to work. My passion, you know, my kids have got that as well now. I think in hindsight, I was trying to do everything. So I was the sales guy, the marketing guy, the PR guy, the product development guy. And I think in a way that's been a good thing. But I think when you're starting, you can get a team of people who are better at these individual things than you are. That helps. I think depending on the type of the business, maybe looking for external finance. So that way, you're sleepless night. I mean, the amount of sleepless nights that I've had about, can I pay wages, can I meet my rent, and so on and so forth, which again, that motivates you, but it's not necessarily for everybody. Nobody wants that stress, understandably. So if you're able to raise finance to give you that breathing space, then I think that's a good opportunity. I think, you know, things I missed out on were probably, like I said, back in '98, I had a website, transactional website. I should have probably made more of that. And there's other things where we've been pioneers. But then again, a lot of it's to do with timing. Like I said, when I looked at the website, you couldn't make credit card transactions. Would it have made sense to pile all my effort into building a website and getting people there if they couldn't make an order? So I think sometimes you can beat yourself up about stuff that you didn't do, but it may be that it just wasn't, you know, like anybody launching a PT business now, even 3 years ago, they would have had to have had a physical PT studio to do it from. Now technology, in theory, you could do that remotely from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, just be aware of the technology around you, and use that to the best of your abilities to save you time and effort.
Perfect. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. So guys, I hope you all enjoyed that. Thanks a lot for everyone who stayed through the whole period. We were a bit longer than 30 minutes, but that's all good. And for anyone who's watching on recording as well. So I hope you all join me in thanking Daniel for joining us today. It's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks for sharing all that with us. Some really inspiring stuff there. I'm sure a lot of great tips people would have taken away there. So if anyone wants to check out more around Daniel's business and product, so follow him on BioSynergy on Instagram. You find the website link on there as well, right?
Yeah.
So you can go through for that as well.
So much.
All right. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
Be safe.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Bye.